You can make the mountains ring, or make the angels cry.
If you guys don't mind, I'm going to shift the topic just a little bit more to the messages that were specifically seen. And so let's see what else we have that aligns, because I can say specifically that there was a turning point in humanity. The soldiers themselves regained their own humanity, and they realized that they were at the pivotal moment of almost eradicating all of humanity, and they actually were able to psychically overcome the mind control and chose to stop fighting. So there was a message in that as well, where even with these devices that were, even with all of the power and all of this stifling mind control technology, the smart grid, all this stuff that was being perpetrated and used to execute and annihilate humanity, there was a turning point that they showed me in every single dream sequence. And I'll start off with the one dream sequence on Vancouver Island.
Can I just say something here, Crystal? In my vision,
Yeah.
I was actually talking to the soldier and trying to convince him and actually getting through to him that this was wrong behavior, wrong thing to do. So that's a corroboration with what you're saying. You know, my vision didn't end up with him saying, okay, whatever, you can go, but it was in process.
Yeah, it wasn't right away. In the beginning, it was a heavy-handed response. It was an extermination, and it was an invasion of North America first by Chinese soldiers in combination with Nazi. I don't know where the Nazis came from. And they are, again, working in cooperation with both as an acting agent for the enslaving extraterrestrials that have been here since we were primitive humans, who have set up our entire system. We are batteries. That movie, The Matrix, was a documentary as far as I'm concerned, because that's exactly what it is. That's exactly how it goes. And my belief is the extermination is because of our ascension. They are exterminating us because we are no longer of value, and they need the power to move on to the next planet. And that will be in the event of a mass Holocaust. That is what they are doing. They're going to maximize the suffering, and then they will be able to leave, because the ascension is going to happen, and it's beyond their control, even with all of the power structures that they've created and all the thousands of years that they've worked on this. They know already that the prophecies are true and that they will not stay. And we've seen them leave. The AETs told me that they leave because of our ascension. Even the soldiers ascend. So even if we go like down this path where there's a split between the two, and one goes descending into madness and darkness, and one goes up and we go up into ascension, eventually the two meet, because actually what ends up happening is that the soldiers stop fighting. They stop. And they do it because they regain their own humanity, and they are able to overcome everything. Now, the two visions I saw of soldiers regaining their humanity were so important to the message, and I wish that I would have included it in my slide presentation. So I'm just gonna keep going with it for a second. But they showed me first that I was like a target. So when you have prophetic visions, you're everyone. So you can jump from perspective to perspective. So you can be the victim and you can be the perpetrator, and you'll be able to see. Kalinda, I'm sure you've seen this too. You've been able to see it from every. So I was the victim first, and I was cornered in a park that was used to be like a playground. I was cornered, and there were two teams coming from each side, and they had me cornered. And they were about to shoot me. They had lasers on me, and they were kneeling down. It was like a firing squad. They were just going to shoot me. And I closed my eyes, and I was ready to die. And I started to levitate off of the ground in the vision. And the soldiers all dropped their weapons, kneeled down, and witnessed this miracle. Some of them were weeping. They regained their humanity, and they decided, no, I'm not fighting anymore. So that was one of the visions in which I saw this regaining of humanity. in the mind controlled soldiers. The other one was the helicopter pilot who I talked about, the white phosphorus powder that was used to chase the dissidents through the remote areas who were hiding in forests and who were trying to preserve their children. There was women and children. They're trying to save their children. And they were hiding in the forest, eating bark. And these helicopters were sent out to these remote areas to pick them off one by one. And it was too hard for them to shoot at them because of the terrain and because of the amount of trees in the forest. So what they did is they used white phosphorus. Now, white phosphorus, when it touches your skin, it melts your skin off of your body and it goes all the way down. It goes all the way through every layer and you melt. And it's so awful to see that. And it's so awful to imagine that.
I just had a dream about that the other night. I had a dream that skin was melting off, and I just thought it was a dream. But I had like this person, the whole body was melting off until it was just only a skeleton, and I thought it was just a dream. I don't know what it related to, but now that you're saying that, the skin melted off the body.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right. Kalinda did tell me that that she'd had that dream, and now you're confirming this, Crystal, as well.
Yeah, so I saw it, and it was white phosphorus, which is against the Geneva Convention. There are signatories to the Geneva Convention. Most countries are signatories to that convention, and these are laws that are war crimes. So the use of white phosphorus powder is considered a crime against humanity because it is so inhumane to use that as a weapon. The people that experience a death by this substance, it is an atrocity against people that was ever even created, but they use it against humans in this war. And once the soldiers got to a point where they realized that they were pouring this on women and children in the outlying areas as they ran. And one of the soldiers, they showed me one of the soldiers, he was young, and he just all of a sudden was overcome with emotion at what he had done, because he did it to a woman as she laid in a creek bed trying to protect her 10-year-old son. And he killed them both, but he killed them with white phosphorus as they're trying to wash it off with the water. And it was just a horrific scene. But as he flew away, he was very close to the base, and he was with a team of helicopters. So they had gone out in these units to search for the dissidents. And the entire unit, starting with the soldier that I witnessed, he started to regain his humanity, and he actually took off the helmet that was doing the mind control. I think that was something to do with the helmet he was wearing, how it had been able to be fitted to affect his brainwaves. He took off the helmet and he screamed, and then he actually turned his helicopter away and started to join the resistance. And the other team members also did it at the same time with him. So they showed me twice that humanity was regained even in the darkest times, even by the people who are supposed to be subservient robots. Even them at the very end, even they stop fighting against their people, humanity, the world, and especially like women and children. Like they know it's wrong. They know what they're doing is they're wiping out humanity. So we get really close to it, but they do decide to stop.
And you can't say no. Like even in my darkest dream state, where they're coming in and forcing me to do these acts, right? I, in my dream state, have said, I'm done with this. You are not going to use my body like this anymore. Right. And I remember saying in my dream state, I know I'm not doing this anymore. And I remember walking out the door and turning around and saying, no, I choose not to do that. And remember telling myself I have free will. Yes. And I remember telling Ian this, and this is the last time this has happened, because I walked out the door and I turned around and I remember them screaming at me saying, what do you mean you're not going to do this anymore? Like, and they were freaking out and screaming and everything at me. Couldn't believe that I was actually taking my will back and actually walking out. what do you mean? You lied to us. You tricked us. You're healed. You're this. I don't even know what they're screaming at, but then I walked out and I woke up in my bed, right?
Yeah, Kalinda, last night an abductee told me, she said, during the experience, she said, I told them I have my own free will, and she stopped this abduction taking place. She was already switched over in her bed, and the being was in her room, and she said, I don't know where I found those words of free will, but I found them, I said them, and we reversed the abduction.
That's what I said too. I don't even know. I was in a
I know.
dream and I just said, I have my free will. And I said, no, I stop you from doing this. And I walked out of the door and they were screaming at me. That's
This
all.
is how
Yeah, and they operate on permissions. So there's laws across the universe with extraterrestrials. There's the law that even the dark ones, the reverse ones, follow, and so do the light beings.
Okay.
And those, I believe, are the laws of permissions. So if we blindly march ourselves to the Holocaust that awaits us, then we have done that with permissions. So if we say,
I just wanted to say that I used to have a lot of my labs happening to me. And that was how I stopped my labs, by just saying, I refuse to do this any longer. I'm a sovereign human being with my own will. And that was it.
You
I
had
didn't.
you had what happening to you?
My labs.
My lab?
It's all right. Kalinda isn't familiar with this term, my lab. It means military abduction.
Military abductions. A lot of abductees also experience psychic. It's kind of psychic warfare. You know,
okay.
I'm sure that you've experienced it. It sounds like some of the things that I've experienced.
Okay.
Where, you know, there's other people kind of leading a movie that you're in, and you're experiencing, and you're going through lots of trauma.
Okay.
You know, and then you can move out of it, and you can say no. But most people don't realize that they can say no.
Well, no, it went on for years before I finally did it. I'm 50 years old now, and I'm like, okay, that's the first time I haven't had it. They haven't come back since, but they were pissed off.
And that, yeah, I think that again is important. Do you remember Crystal talked about the ages, and Jeff did as well? This is important because Colinda did this when she was 50 years old, and she turned things around. And this was a significant turning year for her. It's almost as though she had made an agreement for it to go on for 50 years and no more. And that was it. She drew the line, she regained her control and took it back. You're in agreement with that, Kalinda, I presume, that assessment.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just like, I feel like I'm just starting my life now at 50 years old. It's been pretty dark. So I just feel like I'm just starting life now.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah.
This is incredible. This is just incredible. I'm blown away.
I want to ask Crystal about the visions. You know, on Linda Moulton House show, she pointed out that you had a vision in 2010 about what was going to happen in 2012, and it didn't happen. So the question is, are these visions literally going to happen? Are they allegorical, or can the timeline shift depending on what we do? So how should we interpret these visions, and how much, 100% do you believe it's going to happen? Or do you believe 90% or 50%? Or the other people have visions? What's your response to this?
Okay, so I think that the visions are sort of like a push. They're the ETs who cannot step in until we are in imminent danger. And so they give us pushes through these psychic messages, and they try to show us what's coming. And time works differently in dimensional realms. So when we go into another dimension, like, and we're gauging the two like parallel, I mean, there's seconds can be hours on Earth, and they could be seconds in another dimension. And so timelines are really hard for ETs to try to give people. They did give me a specific date, and it didn't happen. And so that's good. Maybe we shifted it, maybe they stopped it, or maybe like, that's hard. It's really hard to explain that, because I can't really understand it myself. I'm just not able to comprehend how they're doing or what they're doing with time. But there's something going on with that.
I
There
I
is something
think
going on.
I think the timelines keep changing. I think they keep bouncing them around because I believe the Galactic Federation is up there and they are trying to help us and they're trying to work with us, but they keep changing timelines. That's why things keep bouncing around. Like one thing's happening, another thing's happening, and they keep changing timelines on us. And Galactic Federation is trying to help us. But I think these have been warnings, and this is why my visions haven't been coming. Like I got them really strong last year, but since timelines are changing so fast, I'm not getting my visions as strong because what I saw last year can maybe not necessarily happen because the more people that are raising their consciousness, it could change those timelines. That's what I'm seeing.
Same as when you have say a tarot reading. A tarot reader will, you know, you'll have a certain amount of cards that are there, and the tarot reader will tell you the possible timeline. If you continue along the path that you're going, this is what's going to happen. That's how tarot works. But if you change your behavior, if you change your modality, you change your thinking, then the timeline changes. And I think this is what's happening. We've actually been able to overcome some of these horrors that were coming our way because we're raising our vibrations.
That's right.
And the more that we do that, the more we can get on a positive timeline, I think.
Yes.
The most important thing is to keep your vibration high. I think.
Yes.
I want to mention Jane. Jane is the author of the book Children of the Universe. We didn't introduce Jane. You want to talk a bit about your book, Jane?
Oh, thank you. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, it's a bit better.
Yeah, it came out in 2018, the end of 2018. I'll just show people. It's here. It's called the Children of the Universe, a book of disclosure and survival. And it really is. It's over 400 pages long. I got a bit carried away with it, but it's the background to what we've been seeing coming down the line for the last 30 years, the background to where we are now. And it fully discusses, I discuss things like forbidden subjects like witchcraft, Satanism, and I'm sure everybody here is familiar with the fact that the world runs under satanic maritime admiralty contract law, and when you understand Satanism, you'll understand exactly how the world works. And these are kind of untaught subjects, forbidden subjects, paganism as well, which is the roots of nature, isn't it? Following all of that. But the mind control is the biggest hurdle I think we've got to overcome at the moment. That's my first chapter. And I take the first 6 chapters dealing with the physical realities of what we are realizing going on around us at the moment. It's in 4 parts. That's the first part. The second part is about, the medical side of it. I am a homeopath. So I've been quite passionate with medical matters. And I call that slaughter because we've all been subjected to chemical poisonings through our food. We all know this, don't we? The third part is Ian's holding it up to remind me. I've got it here, Ian. It's okay. I'll just open the book. Yes.
That was for everybody to see, but I mean, I can scan it and put it into the comments if you like. But you carry on going. But I think it's important you mention the names of those sections, because those sections take you through the steps, Jane. And I think that's an important way of the journey of the book for the reader.
Okay, there are 21 chapters. I can illuminate on that. As I've already said, the first is mind control, the first chapter. This is called the part called the attack. Then I go into war, genocide, massacres and invasions, which is a massive part of these evil Draco reptilians agenda. The report from Iron Mountain, People might have already come across that one. Silent Weapons of Quiet Wars. This is about all the problems with our environment and things and how we're being attacked. The Invisible Iron Bars of the Matrix Prison. Now that deals with the financial system, because under satanic law, we are held under three things. The first is the spell, which is the mind control. And the second is the registration. There's another word for that, but all the registrations, and the third is the poison, and these vaccines are probably going to be the king of that department. The second part is called the slaughter, and I go into Codex Alimentarius, which is a food code, and a chapter on cancer. I'm very passionate about cancer, very important. Psychiatry and other madness, and medicine, and I put my perspective on medicine. The third part is called the deception. I exposed religion for what it is, that's all of it. The Illuminati exposed. And then I've got 3 chapters on the Satanism, paganism, and witchcraft. The fourth part is the secret. I take the secret part, the last 6 chapters, I try to ground the extraterrestrial part of this as much as I can, so that people just coming in off the street can understand some of the roots of the extraterrestrial clues we've had on this planet over the years. So the first part of the secret, I go into the pyramids and describing not only Egypt, these are all over the world, I know everybody knows that really, particularly the Bosnian pyramids. Sam Osmanagic is a doctor of, he got his doctorate with the Mayan pyramids, but his project is to work in Bosnia, near Sarajevo. There's a little place called Visoko, and apparently, according to Sam, the biggest pyramid there is called the Pyramid of the Sun, and it's actually bigger than the one at Giza. He's been slaughtered by the system doing this work, and he's had teams going over there to help with the excavation, because obviously people thought these were just hills because they were covered with trees and you know, but there's 5 actually over there, and they're definitely pyramids because he started to go into excavate the tunnels. The next
Jane, I did a 2-hour video with Dr. Sam. It's
oh,
on my
okay.
channel. Yeah, it's on 5 parts. Yeah.
Oh, I have to look at that. Yeah, he's a lovely guy.
Yeah, great talk.
Brilliant.
It's true. It's a real pyramid, man-made or
Yeah.
intelligent-made pyramid.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I was going to go over there, but that's not happening now, is it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Me too.
And I go into the Nazis and Antarctica base and Admiral Byrd just around the Second World War, and exposing a lot of the clues about extraterrestrial presence down there. Then Genesis, we're looking at the Bible. I'm not I use the Bible as an academic exercise. I'm not particularly Christian, but I do find it useful to study. The Virus is the next chapter. Shades of Grey, I go into the alien greys in that one. And then the last chapter is called Exodus. And I really, in Exodus, I'm going into our afterlife, you know, because we're programmed to keep reincarnating here until we work our way out of it. It's not a good idea to, you know, put it another way. I think when we become of a higher consciousness and work to a higher consciousness in our life, we are conscious to choose what happens to us after we've died. And that is what I've gone into with Exodus in there. So generally that is the summary of the book. I can't hear you.
I just wanted to, sorry, I wanted to say something about the pyramids, because I can corroborate with you. When I met the ETs in 2010, they spoke specifically of pyramids all over the world.
Mm.
And so I was interested because they showed me Egypt, they showed me South America, and then they said Nigeria, and they said Sumeria. Mesopotamia. They said that there was, when these dark ETs came here, they went across the grid and they went across the globe in a dark grid, and they created pyramids and structures to the places that they began to show themselves as leaders. So that's where they kind of started, was in ancient times, where they actually had pyramids and different things erected for them. And so it was interesting that you just said that, because that corroborates with what the ETs showed me directly when I met them face to face.
Wow.
And I
Wow.
think
That's amazing that the pyramids were for the dark side grid, Chris. I've never heard that before, so that's quite a revelation.
And Crystal, can I say something too? I just said to Ian last night, what keeps coming into my dreams and visions just lately, the last week, is pyramids, pyramids, pyramids. I don't get specific information like you do, Crystal, like where, but all I'm getting is tons of information about pyramids. And I just said that to Ian last night.
Yeah, I've been seeing pyramids lately when I talk to my ET friends, and they've been showing me pyramids repeatedly over and over again. They've also shown me Stonehenge, and I've been seeing Stonehenge and the pyramids I've seen repeatedly in the transmissions recently. So I think that they are sending messages for us to have a look at those areas. They have significance right now in reversing the dark grid. That's what I believe.
Could it be that the pyramid could be a ship at all? Like I've seen the top of the pyramid almost like open up like that, or you know, doing some work in the bottom of the pyramid, or like I've had a dream.
I saw something under the pyramid. I saw another pyramid reversed underneath the pyramids.
I've seen something going on in the bottom of the pyramids too. Like when I was in my dream state.
I saw the same thing, but it was like the pyramids were touching bottom to bottom, and they were reversed.
One under the ground, you mean? One under the ground.
The Bosnian pyramids, they're being used for healing. So how does that, you know, there's a lot of things that are both negative and positive, it seems. Yes. And, but they found some underground springs and stuff in the Bosnian pyramids, and people are being healed. People that are going there, volunteers and things. So how do you guys feel about that?
I think their energy, right, could be used for good things. But Jane, where can they buy your book, Jane? Can we buy it at Amazon?
Yeah.
Want to tell us how to get your book?
No, I'm sorry. It's not a mainstream book. It's an underground book. I chose not to have an ISBN number on it, so I'm doing the boots on the ground work with it. If people want to buy the book, contact me on my email address and I'll post it out to people. I have a PayPal account.
I'd like a copy, please.
Okay. Do you want the public to have your email address?
I actually put it in the comments section a bit further on in the chat. I put the summary, the synopsis, and Jane's email address in there as well. But what I suggest you,
I can't find it.
Okay, I'll post it again. What I suggest you might want to do as well is if several of you in Vancouver want to get the book, do a bulk package, and then
this video is for the public,
less.
Ian, right? This video is for the public. Does Jane want her email given publicly?
Oh, yeah, sure. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, it's fine.
Do you want to tell the audience what it is? Because I have a live radio show. I play on radio. They don't have video.
Yeah, that would be fine. For me. Yeah.
What is it?
What is it?
Okay. Daisy chain. 6666. That's 4 6s. at gmail.com.
Okay. Yeah, we can put it below this video as well. Sure.
At email.com?
It's gmail.com. Yeah. Daisy chain 6666 at gmail.com. Yeah, go on, Ian.
I just posted it again in the comments for everyone, Jane.
Okay.
Thank you. If people email me, the best way for overseas orders is to do a PayPal. It's really quite prohibitive to do anything else, and the cost of postage, because of this horrendous situation we're in. They've put it up a hell of a lot at the moment, and it's I know I'm going to have to find a way around that, bring the price of the book down a little bit, I think, because it's just really, they do this on purpose to they don't want people communicating, do they? So yeah.
There's one more thing that I wanted to bring up to the group, and I'm just going to get Marie-France. Do you want to, we can just kind of cooperate on this one, because we were talking together and we both had seen the reversed ones. We were shown directly what the reversed ones looked like, so what they physically look like, and we were shown specific information about that dark ET race, and that they do operate with magic. They are devout spiritualists who worship the same God as we do, but they worship that God in reverse. The other thing that I thought was important to note, and that a lot of people I felt were getting confusion around, was what kind of physical body the reversed ones had. And it is my belief that they don't actually have a physical body, that they can represent themselves as reptilians or greys, and that they confuse people by showing them or jumping from person to person and working through physical bodies, or presenting bodies that aren't necessarily what their physical body is, because they are not in a physical body. They also wear robes, and we've both seen it. They are robed. And so I've experienced a lot of issues with them lately, especially, and it got really bad for me here, where I woke up and, I was like having really dark demonic, even like, here's an example. I woke up and someone was whispering tongues above me while I was sleeping. So I can tell you that, like, for sure, this is satanic dark magic, and that they are able to select and view people who are contactees, and that they do actively work to suppress us. But I don't believe myself that they are specifically one type of being. I think they can operate through other matter bodies or other physical bodies of other ETs to present themselves as whatever it is that they would like to. But that's just my theory. And I know that Marie-France has seen them as well. So I was just thinking, maybe if you want to speak to that.
I agree. I totally agree with you, Crystal. It was my idea. At first, I saw different things, but I completely agree. They can, they shapeshift, they use other bodies, other appearances. And the more easy way to difference them is to see the eyes, the look changes. And definitely it's kind of invasion. It's very subtle, sorry, subtle I mean. They can use the best things and turn them into bad and into the worst. So we can't say this is good, this is bad. It has to be difference. We have to feel the difference every now and then. Everything is really mixed up so much. So of course, if we want just to use our mind for that, it's no more possible, not really, not now. Some things are obviously quite bad or quite good, but even. Yes, I quite agree.
Yeah, I got a theory about the good ones and the bad ones. I want to ask Crystal and others. My theory is, I'm not saying all reptilians are bad, maybe some are, but if it's them, maybe the reason why the Federation of Planets allows them to, or the good ones allows them to have reign over the earth, is to kind of test humanity and show the minority of people that still develop themselves spiritually. Like most people today are brainwashed. They believe COVID is some illness, So most people go along with the programming, but maybe the negative forces, the reptilians, show that the minority of people that are strong or spiritual still develop themselves spiritually in spite of this. So when the big event happens, the big cataclysms, and the Greys have to decide who to save and who to leave behind, that's kind of the result of this process. So maybe that's why the good ETs allow the bad ETs to do it. It kind of fits in. That makes sense in my mind. I was trying to make sense of this. So I want to ask Crystal or others, what do you think of my theory? I just thought of this like 2 weeks ago.
No, I think your theory is interesting, because they look at the Federation, because the Federation is real. They are real. There's many different ETs. There's more than we could possibly count, and it would take us hundreds of years to learn everything that they all know as common knowledge. It's going to take us a long time to catch up with them. But one thing that I know for sure that is a commonality between all of the beings that work for the good is they do work for the greater good of God, because they all worship God, because God is a real force. God has created every being in creation, and they believe that there's a point like where they could allow it because it is for our highest good. It is a gift to help us to transcend and evolve, because it is so uncomfortable that we have no choice but to transcend it psychically and spiritually. I think there is a point that they allow it, but I think that there is also a belief that anything that goes too far against God starts to diminish the light of God. And when the light of God is diminished across the universe, it starts to have a negative impact on the divine. So there is limitations, I think, as to what is allowed. I think permissions and agreements are part of this, because human beings are unknowingly or even unwillingly giving their permissions and agreements, and we are like lambs to the slaughter, marching ourselves into these death factories, marching ourselves with their heavy-handed influence. They can say to the rest of the universe, and because even though they work in reverse, they still have agreements with the other extraterrestrial beings. They can say, no, they're agreeing to it, therefore we will proceed. And I think that is why this is happening and why it's continuing to happen, because there are laws across the universe. And I think that this is my understanding, is like, if they were to break every single law that was in agreement across with reversed ones or light beings, because there is polarity created by God for balance in the universe. But if they were to break every agreement that was made, I think that the Federation would be able to annihilate them completely within seconds. So I think that there has to be these agreements and these understandings. In a way, it is a bit of a twisted gift. And so we have like this polarity that is pulling on us and pushing on us, and it is allowed only for those reasons. That's what I was shown and what I believe.
Thank you for that, Chris. I'll be watching this video again to get these nuances, because this is kind of my big question in life at this time. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, Brian, can I refer? Yeah, thank you for that, Crystal. I like the clarification and the extra clarification, and the way that Crystal speaks, you can tell this is coming from source. This is the real deal. Jane, I'm referring to page 356 of your book, the paragraph that begins: the reptilian infiltrators, the Draco parasites, who came to Earth from the depths of the cosmos, took over the rule of our lives, and we are its prisoners. The predator is our lord and master. It renders us powerless. I think this is an important section, particularly what researcher Peggy Kane, who's the EVP researcher and reverse speech researcher, has to say. Are you okay reading a section of that, Jane? Because I think that's important, that maybe hear it from you, part of your book that I think is relevant to the discussion that we've had all evening.
Okay, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
As you just said, the reptilian infiltrators, the Draco parasites who came to Earth from the depths of the cosmos, took over the rule of our lives, and we are its prisoners. The predator is our lord and master. Now, I do write Lord in capital letters because in the chapter on Genesis, I fully explain all about that, because it falls into the satanic maritime admiralty law. It renders us powerless. If we want to protest, it suppresses our protest. If we want to become independent, it demands we do not. They took us over because we are food to them, and they squeeze us mercilessly because we are their sustenance. Just as we rear chickens in coops, the predators rear us in human coops. So their food is always available to them. Yeah, that's that paragraph Ian.
Yeah, that's important, and also what Peggy Kane says, which is, I'll read this. What has been, what has
okay.
been going on this planet for thousands of years? This is exactly what Crystal has been saying from the very first time that Crystal spoke, and I think that italicized paragraph is important. Just read that one, Jane.
Okay, researcher Peggy Kane, who uses EVP, electronic voice phenomenon, and reverse speech to support her claims, says, and this is the italics paragraph, and what she said, what has been going on this planet for thousands of years? Planet Earth is a farm, a controlled place. You have no idea how controlled. The reptilian race won a battle literally thousands of years ago and claimed Earth as their own territory and put up a grid or net, some sort of electromagnetic force field. They have constructed a virtual Disneyland here, a matrix and three-dimensional life. They gave us our money system, politics, war, famine, illness. They know us better than we know ourselves. They know how to keep us fighting. Look at us. War has been a great boon to them.
Yeah, I think that's important, and I hope that others can read on from there in this book. That is important. You also mentioned about the maritime law. Now, earlier Mimi made the comment and said they treat us like cargo. Mimi, you're probably aware of this maritime law again, but I think it's important because Jane really has this honed to a T about the maritime law. Can you just tell us about that, Jane, if that's okay, just briefly?
Yeah, okay. I go into microphones. I go into that in the Invisible Iron Bars of the Matrix Prison chapter. Maritime Admiralty law is connected to, or it evolved from the fact that we are born out of our mother's water. I'm sure people on this program are familiar with this. I don't know, you are, how it works.
Part of the speech spell, where birth from mother's water, birth as it parked, parked, right?
Yeah.
These waters.
I think
so right from the beginning, we
are. I'm just, if you bear with me, talk amongst yourselves a minute. I'm just going to go into that chapter, so I've got it. Please forgive me, because I've never done anything. I've been on Skype once and I'm just so stressed. I just need to refer to the book. So carry on talking. I'll just get there a bit later on. Okay.
You're doing great. You're doing fabulous. Thank you for contributing to the talk here today.
It's great to be here, and I'm really grateful for you and sort of get in touch with me. We haven't probably connected for a year, Ian, have we?
No, that's right. It was in fact, it's hard to believe that just over a year ago we were with Miles, and Mimi's a friend of Miles as well. That we were with Miles at the mini conference. We were selling your book, and we had a fantastic evening. So you know that this is really important, and it's really great that you've been able to join us this evening, especially to corroborate what Crystal has been saying in her 2 presentations. So what has been corroborated by Colinda evening with the from Steve and contribution as well, and what Marie France has also added to it. It's all coming together. These are all small pieces of a puzzle, and it's really great that that all of us are now sharing on this channel important information.
Absolutely. You know, this is just needs to be talked about. I am a contactee as well. I think all of you are, aren't you? And we need to sort this all out ourselves. What I'm beginning to feel at the moment in my hometown, that we are networking with like-minded people. There's quite a lot of people waking up, and we are going to have to sort ourselves out, like grow our own veg and food, and do and network with skills doctors and dentists, and completely out of the system somehow. At the moment we're in the networking phase, but I don't know whether anybody is familiar with the Basis Project, Miles Johnson. I actually looked at some of his site today, and he's put out feelers for skilled people to build a tower, an independent broadcasting system, like he did way back. I think he was involved with Radio Carolinian, wasn't he? And I think he wants to do this again because unfortunately he got strike the other week, and YouTube took him down for a week.
Yeah, he was part of the Irish pirate radio stations.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm just trying to
And
find this.
who's this? He's looking for people or volunteers for what? I missed that.
A broadcasting tower, formulating a broadcasting tower. So we've got independent radio.
Yeah.
It's
It's funny that you say that, because just last night I was talking to my friend and I keep getting this word saying back to basics and Little House on the Prairie days, and getting these books on canning and hunting and off the grid. And I'm picking up all these books and I'm like, I don't know how to hunt. You know what I mean? But it's all back to basic stuff. And it's exactly what you're saying, and building a like-minded community. And because this is the new way, like, it's like everything's going to fall to start up again, but it's almost like going back to I don't know, that's all the word I keep getting, back to basics. And it's almost like a Little House on the Prairie day, where you have to go back to that day and everything is kind of going to start up again from there. But I like what you're saying, but I keep thinking it's only been the last 2 days where I want to start and build this community and like-minded people, but I'm like, how do I find those people? How do I begin in this community? So you would be a great resource, maybe you would know, or how you begin to start that, because I would be so interested in that, or helping volunteer for that or anything. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, well, I think the universe works for us as well when we're awake to it, if you know what I mean. Various situations happen and you get connected with people. And I mean, since this lockdown, I've had some very strange days with people that I've probably not connected with for a while, that have come up and got in touch, and we've gone on from there. And I'm beginning to talk. I talk to everybody as far as I can, because we can no longer, at the moment, I don't think we ever will be able to have conferences where we can talk to 100 people, 50 people at the same time. So my new system now is do it one by one, and talk to people as you find them, and just chip away at the block. This is how we've got to work, because we've been so tied up information wise now, and it's getting worse, and it will continue to get worse. Unfortunately, Miles it took me a week to get over it, but Miles, I did an interview with Miles Johnson of the Basis Project about a month ago, and the video got taken down within 12 hours. When I woke up the following day, it wasn't there, and I contacted Miles and I said, "Have you put it up yet?" He says, "Yes." Anyway, YouTube had taken it down so fast.
Where is he out?
I've been trying to get Miles to get onto Telegram.
Have you? Do you want me to?
The only platform that is not where censorship is not happening.
No.
So I keep saying, let's use Telegram.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that will get co-opted as well, but at the moment, it seems to be pretty safe.
Telegram, I'll have to look into that. I'll look into it.
Yeah, and I was going to say something about what we were talking about, going back to basics, because they did say to me, a verbatim, I'm going to just quote them, "Human beings will crawl on your bellies and eat bark for a certain amount of time." And so when I saw the people on the ships, they came up onto those ships, they were in rags, they were in tatters, and they were emaciated.
That's what I saw. I saw, back in the Viking days, where people wore kind of raggy clothes and fur and stuff like that. I saw back to basics and raggy clothes like browns and all, you know, like those movies you see when people are kind of dressed like that. Like that.
Yeah, and here's another thing. I don't know if any of you follow Whitley Strieber and his Unknown Country and his Dreamland. He did an interview last week with Terry Lovelace, the abductee from the incident at Devil's Den. And he talks about when he went to South Dakota with Terry and another researcher. And in the car, Whitley had almost like a time slip experience. He was seeing another reality, and he saw people in rags. That's his exact words, people in rags.
Wow.
Yeah, so when you have people who are seeing the same messages and the ETs are telling us that we're about to go into a time where we have to form communities, come together and be able to feed ourselves.
And grow our own food and farming and stuff like that. I keep seeing that too. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that we can look now at the writing on the wall and say that this COVID nonsense is going to drive us right to it. We're so close now. I think we're months away.
I feel it's close too.
I did a video for Miles. Am I muted? Oh, I did a video for Miles about that, about growing your own food, Kalinda. If you look on Basis Project, it's there.
Wow. Okay. And who is this?
A gardening video that I did here in this house.
Okay.
It has some ideas about, you know, all that kind of stuff. Getting back to basics.
Because that's my dream. I just said it to my friend last night. I said, what is it that if I had the money, I don't have money though, but if I had the money, I would get a piece of land somewhere up north and I would get a bunch of people together, build small homes, get a farm going, get everybody pitching in together. You don't need money. Everybody just, you know, one's a construction worker, one does this, one does that, one's farm, just get it going. You know what I mean? Like I have this vision in my mind and it's like, but how do you start? You know, oh, okay.
It's starting right now.
Yeah, this is awesome.
I wanted to ask Crystal, you said time is different. Like I was asking, how reliable are these visions? Are they really going to happen, or is it a metaphorical, or is this, you know, and you said time is different, but that's still the question. Like it's a big deal to leave the city and move to the country and try to grow food. So how do we interpret these visions that people have, that we have to grow our own food? Like, is it going to happen or not? That's the question. How likely is this to happen or not? Because it seems our experience over the last 100 years is things happen slowly and incrementally. The way the New World Order wants, they don't want the cattle to stampede. So they do things slowly. They say, okay, COVID, you know, we have to, it's, you know, we're doing this for your benefit. We're doing this for your safety. So is it really going to be as drastic as these visions, or are these visions like just some kind of warning that we should get our act together? Like,
yeah.
We really can't be sure how to interpret. How would you interpret it?
Yeah, I don't think
it's going to go boom, but I think it's going to be in the next few years. Like I think it's going to be full on in the next, I say 5 years. That's what I see.
Yeah, I don't think that they're hiding anymore. Like I think that they've just set it up so perfectly that at this point they just almost have become arrogant to the fact that we are cattle and we're just batteries and we are totally disposable. So to them, I think they have gotten to the point where they've become arrogant with their control over us and have decided that they don't really need to be as hidden. It's so blatant now. I mean, it's so blatant that they think it's almost comical how easily controlled we are. And if they want to drop the hammer, which they're going to do that, they're doing it now. I don't think that they're going to even really need to hide anymore. Like they could just walk back in the face. Pardon?
Not slow anymore. It's fast. It's happening really, really fast now.
They don't need to hide anymore because we're so controlled by that dark grid that even if you wake up, you're surrounded by darkness. You can't get out of the system. You can't, like, what do we do? Exactly. Do we just run off into the mountains and live off of the land and then hide out in caves? Like, no, we have to form communities, which means we have to have land, which means we have to have money, and we also have to have skills. We have to be able to buy ammunition or make ammunition. We have to have guns to hunt. How do you do that? How do you do that in a week? How do you do that in 3 months? How do you do that? We're so trapped. They don't even care anymore. They're just going to keep going, and whoever's not prepared. And I mean, we're already too late, I think, but that's like, it is scary, but at the same time, we're going to have some help, especially contactees. You'll be put in the right places. You'll be put in the right situations and in touch with the right people. And if you are meant to stay for the earth changes, or if you're meant to stay where you are and hold the light, it's just a matter body. It's not forever. You'll come back. You could come back to the perfect new world. You could come back to heaven on earth, and the work's been done for you. And that's the worst case scenario. Living through the earth changes is harder than coming back to the earth changes. Living through them is hard. It's going to be really hard, because I've seen it, and you've seen it too. I mean, other people we've seen, we crawl on our bellies and we eat bark. That is how hard it is. And that's if you survive the war where they come after you, and people like us speaking out, they're not ignorant to that. They know who's opponents, and they know who is speaking out against them. But there's going to be, if you're meant to be here for the earth changes and you're meant to carry this matter body into the new world, you will survive no matter what. You will be guided to the right places. You will have amazing synchronicities that will tie you in to be exactly where you're needed, because we're here to work. We're not here to stay comfortable. We're here to save humanity. That's why we came here. That's why the messages are coming through us. We're here to do the work for everyone else who can't do it yet, or who might never. We're here to guide people to collection points when the waves come. Some of us are here to hold that light and just keep holding it and holding it and holding it. Some of us are here to help enlighten and awaken others. Each of us have a shamanic practice or a job that we're doing without even knowing we're doing it.
Thank you for that, Crystal. That's inspiring. I think I'll just go down with the ship.
And
Yeah,
personally,
I'd like to
personally,
add to that.
sorry.
And that is, I still maintain that we have control over the timeline, that we do. These visions that we're having are visions of what could be, but it depends on our own consciousness, whether we're going to allow that to happen or not. And that's what the hope that I hold on to, is that we're not going to allow that. So I'm not seeing a ragged future. I'm not seeing people in rags. I'm seeing people ascending.
For a long time, I've had like 4 visions. For example, seeing the universe or creation as one infinite golden light, and everybody is part of it. Everything is part of it. And lately, I've been doing more meditation, and what I have recently come to be able to see is, whenever I'm looking now at anybody, when I'm looking at the screen right now on the whatever the form with the different windows on it, and when I look at you, all of you, and when I see people, what I see is Creator. What I see is God. So for me,
Yes.
I don't have that fear. I don't know why. I just don't have that fear, because I know ultimately it's Creator, and that's where the buck stops. I mean, literally, that's where the buck stops. So like all these other shenanigans, the things that are going on, yes, people, I mean, things will get worse. People tend to, people do suffer and die and that sort of thing. But like Crystal was saying, like, we are immortal. Like, we come back, and these bodies are not permanent. So the physical reality in the universe is not permanent. It's designed that way. It's made that way. So I think that what will happen is that, we may pass over and come back into, as Crystal says, maybe another world that is much more paradise-like or whatever, from a physical point of view, or maybe we would just transition to be more enlightened and be more part of the universe itself, like that sort of a thing. So I just wanted to mention that.